Soulblazing. My name's Lisa Haisha. My guest today is one of the top oral surgeons in the nation, Billy Graves.
Thank you so much.
So happy to have you here.
No, thanks for having me.
Well, you do amazing work in the world, and I'd love to hear about what you do. You're an oral surgeon who actually gives back to people who can't afford it. You work with vets. How did that happen?
You know, we work with lots of vets and victims of like domestic violence and things like that, and people are of low income status. And I guess the way I kind of developed my practice into doing this line of work is, you know, I come from more of a poor background. And if you think about basic human rights that we all should have, the ability to eat should be on that list of the basic human rights everyone should have. So, you know, a lot of these surgeries that we do are very expensive and most people can't afford them. I mean, you're looking at surgeries that are $50,000 to $100,000 to restore someone's smile and their ability to eat and improve their self-confidence. And, you know, everybody can't afford that. And, you know, coming from a poor family, you know, I wanted to give back to people because everybody isn't rich, and I realize this, and when you come from that background, you realize that everybody can't afford these things, but that doesn't mean that everybody shouldn't have the right to have these things.
Oh, absolutely. But but most surgeons don't really think that way, and most people in the world really don't think that way. So the thought that you give back is amazing. I'd love to hear a story about someone's life who you changed by doing that.
You know, and I mean, there's hundreds of stories I could tell. I mean, we do, you know, up to $1 million a year in free surgeries on people. And
how do you find these people?
I have thousands of people who write in to us with their stories, and in any given time, we probably have 2,000 to 3,000 emails of people writing in with their stories, either for themselves or for one of their loved ones who need the surgery. And, you know, unfortunately, we can't give everybody a free surgery. But I think just setting the example for other people who do what I do for a living and letting people know that you can give people free surgery and you can do these cases and you can still be successful in what you do and you can still make plenty of money to live comfortably and have a good, successful practice, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So I think we're trying to set the example for everyone because we know that we can't do surgery on everybody.
Yes. But when you say they write into you, they just write to your office randomly? Or are you on
They know they do. I mean, we get those, and we get people actually who physically come to our office. But, you know, we have a very big social media following. So, you know, we have Facebook and we have Instagram, and that's usually where people write in to us. And the other thing that we do is we have like an office Snapchat thing. So, you know, we do live surgeries.
Oh, you're very active.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see. So they see it, and they see you on Facebook, so they start writing in, and they see all the work you're doing for people who can't afford it, and they ask. Oh, I see. You know, that must be hard, though. How do you say no to someone when you know they need it? That's the problem with that.
One thing that I learned a long time ago is when I read the emails and when I talk to the people, it's almost impossible for me to say no. I want to do it for everyone. So I have to force myself to have a system where I have people that go in and pre-screen some of these emails before they get to me because I want to do everything for free, and obviously I can't do that. I mean, that would be a full-time job. You know, we still have to run our practice. We still have to pay the bills, so I can't do that, unfortunately. But so we have a screening process where we have employees that's their full-time job is to go through these emails and select the ones that actually make it to me for the interview process and the consult that goes along with doing something like that.
How was your childhood? Were your parents inspiring to you? Did they try to motivate you to get into a field like this? Were they people who gave back? Were they, you know, conscious people at that time or socially conscious?
You know, I think when you're a doctor, the appropriate answer that everybody scripted on is to say that you became a doctor because you want to help people, right? That's kind of the scripted, that's what people want to hear. You know, and I feel that way now, but, you know, originally the reason I went into this field is because, you know, we grew up poor, and I was sick of being poor growing up. And, you know, with the exception of one person in my family, I'm the only person who's ever graduated from college. And it would have been acceptable in my family to maybe not graduate from college or to never go to college. I mean, that would have been okay in our social economic class that I grew up in. But I got sick and tired of being poor. I knew that there was something out there for me, something better in life. I was here for a purpose to do something. And I knew a lady who was a dentist, and she made $100,000 a year. And I remember thinking to myself, if I made $100,000 a year, there's nothing in life that I couldn't have. Because to me, growing up, my mom worked at a gift shop at a museum, and my dad drove a truck. So $100,000 a year was like winning the lottery to me. So, I knew that if I wanted to do that, it would require a lot of hard work and dedication, and my family couldn't afford to do that. So, I took as many loans out as possible to achieve that. And when I finally got to the point where I had this successful practice, I kind of looked at myself and said, you know what, I've been so blessed to get to where I am, coming from where I started.
But what was your journey like? How did you do it? I mean, it takes a strong mindset to actually study that hard and be an oral surgeon or even a dentist. And why dentistry? Why didn't you go into another field or just a medical doctor?
Yeah, and at first I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I remember I'd graduated from high school and I was at my house and I was working at this part-time job, and I think I was making, like $110 a week. And I remember it was a Tuesday, and I didn't get paid to the end of the week, and I had like $20. I remember sitting down trying to figure out how I'm going to eat until Friday on my $20 until I got paid, which was only going to be $100 at the time. And it was like the come to Jesus moment. I kind of sat there and reevaluated my life, and I said, look, I'm not going to continue to live my life like this. This is how everybody in my family lives their life with these financial stresses. What do I have to do to be more successful? So I took my entrance test to college a couple weeks later and did well. And then when it came time to go to college, I remember calling my mother and telling her that I was going to go quit my job and go to school. And I remember my mom, her biggest concern was, well, we're not rich. We can't afford to go to school. And I can't believe you're going to quit this part-time job that you have because you have health insurance and you have dental insurance with them. That's just crazy for you to quit this job. So if anything, I kind of went against the grain when it came to being successful. And like I said, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I knew you could take loans. And the most important part was I knew I had to pay that loan back. So that was my real motivation to work hard and study hard and to become something. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to become. And like I said, I found a dentist who made $100,000 a year, and I thought that was be the most amazing thing in the world to have that kind of money. And that's why I kind of pursued that.
That's great. So when you actually achieved it, when you got your degree and you started working, when you started your business, how did that make you feel?
Yeah,
Did you feel like, wow, I did something that none of my family members did? Or, I mean, you not only went to school, you went to graduate school, you specialized.
It's such a long process. I mean, it's from the time you graduate from high school.
It's a long journey.
It's a 12-year process. So, I mean, really honestly, at the end of this journey, it's kind of a surreal feeling. It doesn't feel like it's really over with because it took you so long to get there. And I knew that I wanted to have my own business. I've always had a drive to be successful. I've always wanted to be this person. I just never thought I would actually be that person. And oh yeah, it's a great feeling to do that, but I've never really plateaued. I mean, I started this practice in Texas, and now we have one of the largest practices in the States, one of the largest ones in the United States, and now we're looking at going overseas to Dubai and corporate and all this. So yeah, I don't really feel this like plateau yet. I still feel there's so much work for me to do.
But you paid off your student loans, I hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
I still have some. It's a low interest rate. I mean, I just can't make myself pay that off because it's such a low interest rate. But yes, I'm working on that.
Yeah. So, but I want to know, what does it feel like when you go through a journey like that, when you really accomplish something that is so challenging to accomplish? You just are going, as soon as I get there, I'm going to be great. I'm going to, now I made my 100,000, I'm going to be happy. If I make 250,000, then I'm going to be happy. Then if I make $1 million, I'll be happy. When did you set into?
It's.
And what point did you say, I'm going to start giving back?
Yeah, to me, it's never really about the money. I mean, and I tell people I'm sincere. if something in the economy happened and tomorrow oral surgeons made, $15 an hour, I would be an oral surgeon making $15 an hour, because I love what I do for a living. I'm very blessed in that regard. So I don't do it for the money. I tell people I do it because I want to be successful. I want our practice to be successful, and I want to give back. And if I can do those three things, it doesn't matter how much money I'm making. I'm going to make money if you have a passion of what you want to do.
Yes, it's true.
It comes along with it, but
Yes.
that's not my motivation to do it. So I gauge my success not on how much money I make. I gauge my success on how many people's lives I can change, and how successful I can make the practice become, and how I can influence other people.
Yes. So, can you tell me, though, a story of someone that you recently worked with, or you have a show that you're doing, right?
Yeah. So we were contacted from someone in LA, and,
Yes.
and they've heard of all the free stories all the free surgeries that we give away, and all the lives that we change, and and they contacted us about doing a show, and so we thought about it, and I agreed to do the show, and I started researching the shows, and you look at Botched and Dr. 90210 and some of these other medical shows, and if you look at these shows, the one common factor that these have is you're taking people and doing cosmetic surgery on them, but these people have a lot of money, so you're kind of changing their life a little bit, but from a financial standpoint, they can afford to have this done.
Yes.
We're taking people and we're giving that same effect for people who can't afford this stuff. The great thing about the surgeries that we do, it is a life-changing procedure. And I just done a vet. This guy was a veteran. He was in the Vietnam War. He was a victim of Agent Orange. He has deterioration of his mouth, PTSD issues. He doesn't have much confidence. The government, if you're in the veteran system, they'll pay for the minimum, which are dentures, right? But George Washington wore dentures. We have all these medical advances, and the government still wants to pay the minimum for these guys to eat. So this guy comes to us, and the government's not going to pay $50,000 for him. He can't afford the $50,000, and he's one of the guys that we chose due to his dedication in the service to our country. So we chose this guy, and we did surgery on this guy, and him, as far as everyone we've ever done, there's a transformation of these people's lives. When they come in, they're very shy, they're very self-conscious. Most people in their situation, I'm sure we know people, they will talk with their hand in front of their mouth because they're embarrassed the way their mouth looks. And studies have shown when you meet somebody, the two things you notice on that person first are their eyes and their mouth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And these people cover their mouth up because they know that people are going to be judgmental of them. So we do this surgery on these people, and then, it is a life-changing thing, because when these people come back for their follow-ups, they walk into my office like they're a celebrity, like they own the place. Their confidence level goes through the roof. And to me, that's what it's all about, to me.
Oh, absolutely. Changing someone's life right there before you, especially someone who gave service to our country, and nobody helps them out after that. So that must shift your life every day. Seeing all these people's lives that you change, it's really incredible work. You're doing God's work, it's spiritual work. How many people do you see a day, or how many surgeries can you do a day?
Depending on the complexity of the case, I work on a lot of pediatric and small children up to, I may work on a kid who's 10 weeks old and work on a 99-year-old person in the same day. But depending on the day, I'll typically do anywhere from 5 surgeries to 14 surgeries a day.
You can do 14 surgeries in a day?
Depends on what the case is.
How long is each surgery?
It depends. I'll usually start surgery every morning at around 6:30 a.m. and then we'll operate through lunchtime. And my average surgery, depending on the case, will go anywhere from 10 minutes up to maybe 4 hours, depending on the complexity of the case. And then we'll probably see another 30 to 40 consults after I do surgery. So we'll work about 12-hour days every day.
Do you work 5 days a week?
I work 5 days a week, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll take Monday off.
Wow, so that's 20 to 40 or so surgeries a week.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so what do you do for sleep? What do you do for self-care? What do you do to take care of yourself?
Yeah,
Sometimes when you give back so much, you have to give to yourself. Otherwise, at someday you're going to lose it. They say dentists are one of the #1 professions where you kill yourself.
Great,
Suicide.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so what do you do for yourself?
I do, in my personal life, I do a lot of traveling on the weekends. But, you really have to plan this ahead. I mean, I have a social responsibility to my patients to be well rested and be alert and ready for surgery the next day. So I'm very disciplined about going home and having dinner and reading and going to bed at a decent hour. I mean, that's just something I've disciplined myself, and people around me in my life know this about me. So there's not a lot of peer pressure and temptation for me to do things that is distractive from what I do for a living.
Okay, so I heard through a couple of surgeon friends of mine that a majority of them do a lot of coke. Is that
Cocaine?
true? Yes, yes,
See,
to stay up.
I'm from Kentucky, and I live in Texas. I've never even seen somebody do cocaine
Really?
before.
Really?
And I've
Okay.
worked on plenty of patients that partake in that, granted. No, luckily, I am very type A personality when it comes to life, and I'm very energetic, and I hope to be doing this for a very long time, and I'm excited about what I'm doing. And the thing is, if you love what you're doing, if you love going to work every single day, it doesn't make you a morning person, it just makes you a happy person. And those people who need cocaine to do their job need to reevaluate their life.
Exactly. Yes. And my friends and everyone says, oh, before if you ever want plastic surgery or whatever, you better talk to them about that and see if they're one of those doctors. I'm like, oh my God, so I got to fly to Texas if I want it.
I would love to hear their answer.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
Or 10 years or 20 years from now?
Yeah. I'd like to say that 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, I'm going to retire, move out here to LA, and just live the good life. But I don't see
It's
myself.
impossible. Once you've touched lives, you get addicted to that.
Yeah, I don't see myself doing that. The one thing I do see us doing is expanding the business and the brand. And like I said, we're looking at going to Dubai and overseas. And
Why Dubai?
I think Dubai is a growing market right now. I think the big surgeries that we do that allow us to do the free surgeries, we can definitely do in Dubai from a financial standpoint. And I think just the outreach of what we're doing, spreading the word.
Are you kind of doing a Doctors Without Borders over there with your company? So you're going there and doing some free work, or is that for pay?
No, absolutely. We go over there, we would continue the same philosophy that we have here in the United States. Everybody in Dubai aren't rich, and everybody in the world has basic human rights. And like I said, one of those human rights is the ability to eat. And so I think by setting this example to other doctors that do what I do, we can help kind of service some of these people.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Doctor. Yes.